好久不见。如果你没看我的第一视频，让我自我介绍一下。我叫柯彦杰，或者 Adam Curtis。我是一个第5年学生，我3个年学习韩语。我在中国住了4个月，住了数多城市。Today, I'll be presenting my research I have conducted in lieu of an internship, as well as my experiences traveling around Asia. My research project is called Analyzing the Chinese Customs and Culture to Market Toward, and it's broken into 3 main categories. We got 中国文化, which is Chinese culture, 市场进入, which is market entry, and my webcam's covering it, 社交媒体, which is social media. Now, I will be going over each section in detail and talking about the reasoning behind the research. So, first we have Chinese culture. Now, Chinese customs play a significant part in how companies can market toward Chinese audience. Such customs include the concept of face, gift giving, significance of color, and significance of numbers. Now, Chinese consumers reference these decision-making options when purchasing a product. Now, face is the social appearance of someone, which includes the respect and honor one is given. It is essentially an intangible outward appearance someone possesses. And luxurious products are bought to improve one's face and emit the image of success and higher standing. And the appearance of being a high quality good is what gets people to purchase your product, as it can be used to elevate their image, therefore their face. Now, gift giving is a large aspect of Chinese culture, and companies take this into account when designing their packaging. And they use that through the significance of color. And color has cultural significance and can symbolize several different meanings. Red symbolizes good fortune and happiness, and yellow can represent royalty and power. So here in figure 1, we have the packaging for pineapple cakes. Just a simple pastry. But this is an example of good package design because it's using the significant color for its clean design, which translates well into the gift-giving culture of Chinese consumers. So when the purchaser buys this product and gives it out, the recipient will be appreciative of this high quality appearance, thinking it is of high quality. And so not only will their face improve by receiving such a product, but also the gift giver's face will improve because it makes them look generous and, for lack of a better term, richer, more wealthy. Now, numbers also represent meaning due to the similarity of sounds they possess. For example, the number 4 in Chinese, 4, fourth tone, sounds like the character meaning death, 4, third tone. Therefore, Chinese consumers avoid buying products that have the number 4 involved in the price. You can see this not only in products, but say hotels. Like, there is no 4th floor because no one wants a room on the 4th floor. Now, on the contrary, a number that is positively viewed is the number 8, ba, which is first tone, which sounds like fa, also first tone, and fa means wealth. So here in figure 2, it'll probably be hard for you to see on your screen, but we have a Chinese shopper at a supermarket, and amongst the price is ending with an 8. Similar how in the US, a price ends in 99 cents to give the illusion of, if it's $4.99, it's less than $5. So you can see that prices of the goods all in an 8 appeal to the Chinese people's affinity toward the number. The next section we have is market entry. Now, when foreign companies try to enter the Chinese market, they fail to see much initial success because they do not change their marketing campaigns to accommodate Chinese tastes. Chinese consumers typically see Western goods and services as a more luxurious product, and these companies cater to these preconceptions to yield more success because they can get said products manufactured and sold within China, and that's typically what they purchase for everyday, more generic stuff. Now, when companies choose to continue with their own marketing campaign that had success in Western countries, Chinese audiences are typically less responsive. Such examples are these companies will employ actors who are not ethnically Chinese and they don't advertise toward Chinese values, which can differ from Western values, as you know. One such company would be Oreo. Now, Oreo did market research once their cookie sales were underperforming in China, and through the research, figured out that traditional Oreos are too sweet. They typically do not have a palate for the amount of sugar Americans are used to and prefer in their desserts. The Chinese market prefers wafers over cookies, and large packages were too expensive and too large of a portion. Now, excuse me. Here I have a package, a family size package of Oreos, which has around 50 cookies in it. Now, I could devour this thing in one sitting, but to a Chinese consumer, especially to a family, this would be a absurd amount of cookies and would just be seen as wasteful and just not worth purchasing such a large quantity. So Oreo shifted their focus into creating a new product alongside their traditional Oreos to invigorate their sales. Now here in figure 3, we have the Oreo wafer cookies. Now, the Oreo wafer was what Oreo created for the Chinese markets, as it accounted for all these specific tastes, and they also adjusted the sugar content, and they sold more of individual sleeves because people liked buying it more as a one-off purchase that you'd eat quickly rather than have it available at all times. And another company would be Starbucks. Now, Starbucks was having difficulty in the Chinese market as their drink of choice is not coffee, but tea. Uh, Starbucks' fundamental product was unpopular in China and they were losing money for years. Now, in order for them to be successful, Starbucks looked toward Chinese culture and made attempts at replicating it. China has a history of tea houses being a place of comfort and community, but has since went extinct due to technological advances, such as being able to brew your own tea within your own house and architectural advances making the buildings not necessary. Now, Starbucks aimed their focus at recreating a tea house experience in order to get people in the doors and use Starbucks as a meeting hub, not necessarily to purchase their coffee. But by catering toward the community, Starbucks not only turned around their profits, but actually slowly built the exposure to coffee to China. And nowadays, Starbucks has thousands of locations around China alone, and they all have paramount success due to their marketing campaign toward these Chinese customs, rather than keeping a traditional campaign back here in the United States. And if you look in figure 4, we have a Starbucks in Chengdu, China, and you could see Starbucks tried keeping a Chinese aesthetic that appealed to the Chinese market with the traditional stone masonry and roofing of buildings. Now, both Oreo and Starbucks took the time and resources to research and develop this marketing plan for China, and they yielded great results. China is a massive market, and companies have realized the value of investing in China. Lastly, we have social media. Now, social media in China is a huge platform with hundreds of millions of users daily. However, China has a closed infrastructure, the Great Firewall, which Western social medias such as Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, etc., are unable to enter. And this is because China has created their own versions of popular social media platforms to align with their government legislation. So Chinese social media have massive audiences, and the largest platform, WeChat, has an estimated 1 billion active users, and this is around the world. Now, social media can influence consumer behavior. It provides awareness, information acquisition, opinions, attitudes, purchase behavior, post purchase communication, and evaluation. It's essentially a jack of all trades, but also master of all to be invested in social media. Now, this is true not only for China, but for the United States. And social media can reach all demographics and audiences, as is an effective tool for marketing toward consumers. I mean, there are plenty of teenagers who on social media. There are plenty of young adults, middle-aged adults, elderly. Social media is not exempt to only one demographic. And this internet-based advertising is quickly overtaking old medias such as magazines and television. Now, since social media is internet based, social media will continue to evolve and will never leave relevancy. Users will continue to rise, and that means that marketing on social media will become more successful. Here in figure 5, I apologize, it's probably difficult for you to see, but this is the monthly average users of Chinese social media platforms. And there are millions of users, with WeChat being a massive amount. Now, social media is a powerful platform to appeal toward a massive audience of all demographics. So, combined with the large population of China, your campaign could reach a potential of hundreds of millions of consumers, and that is an attractive possibility for many companies. So, that means it's worth the hurdles of going around these Chinese barriers of entry, and because it could provide real profits, market area growth, and companies should not be afraid from entering the Chinese market just because they can't use their pre-established social media accounts on Facebook, Instagram, etc. And then here in figure 6, social medias in China, they all have their own Western um, counterparts, such as YouTube. They have Yoku, and then Google has Baidu. So it's the translation might be a bit rough at the start, but it's essentially the fundamentals of being on that platform is not as dissimilar as you think. Now, this is the end of the first part. The first part was focused mainly on the research I conducted. Now, the second part is all about my travels abroad, but it is not academic based. So if you are pressed for time or are not interested in hearing about the travels, feel free to end here. But if not, the video will continue on to part 2. All right, next up, we have my experiences from when I traveled around Asia. I have traveled to 11 unique locations in total in my 5 months abroad, and I'll be talking about each location. And so, firstly, we have Shantou, which is my IGP destination. And Shantou is located on the coast of China. Shantou is the location I spent a majority of my time since it is where the university I was studying at is located. Now, Shantou is a great city and it is very green and humid. And the humidity did not subside for a few months, so be prepared if you're sensitive to heat like I am. Here we have 4 images. The 2 left are from the campus I took when I was just walking around. You can see the bell here. It has significance, but it's eluding me. I don't remember what it means. There's actually the campus library right beside it. And on the top right, this is just a photo I took of a sunset when I was walking along the river in Shantou City. And on the bottom right is the view I actually had from my dormitory. There was a Buddhist temple nearby, and I really enjoyed just being able to look out and see the green scenery. Now, one of the most common activities for international students is going out to clubs. Now, I personally am not a fan of clubs, but when you are abroad, you should try to go out of your comfort zone and try new things. I enjoyed going to the clubs just because I got to be with my friends and I got to drink alcohol. And so when you're in Shantou, I recommend the Show 8 bar or the All In Club as the 2 clubs you should go to. I had a blast going to them, and I'm glad I did. Since Shantou is really be spending the most of your time, making friends is a worthwhile endeavor. I made a ton of friends in Shantou, and I'm really glad I did. They made the monotony of classes interesting, and I really enjoyed going to parties, clubs, and bars with them. And then, lastly, for Shantou, here are just a few photos that really didn't fit in with the other slides. And so, my advice: don't be afraid of being weird and doing stupid things. It's all in good fun, and all the students had fun doing it together. The first location I traveled to outside of school was Shanghai. I came here on Golden Week, where we got a few days off of school to celebrate the founding of the Communist Party of China. Now, be warned, while you get the weekdays off, you had to make them up on the following weekend. So, is it like really a holiday? I kind of had issue with that, but that's just the normal way school days work. I came to Shanghai with a few friends, and we really had no plan in mind when coming. I think that is the best way of traveling, as since not having a strict itinerary and just enjoying your time in a new place. Walking around the city was great, especially during the holiday. And one place I specifically recommend going is the Shanghai Tower, seen here right on the right. It is one of the tallest towers in the world, I believe, and also has the fastest elevator, I believe. And being at the top, you can see the entire city, and going at night is the best. So you can see here is the Bund. Also, the Bund is right here. And then just, it was really nice seeing the city at night all lit up. Also, the one refuge for me when I was in the city was a Taco Bell. You can't believe what a sight for sore eyes this was. You really never know what you're missing until it's gone. The next place I went to was Xi'an, which is a very historic city up here in the north. I've actually been to Xi'an before, but it's such a great city, it's worth going again. I came to Xi'an with my good friends from NAU, and we all had a great time reuniting in China. Now, Xi'an has a large demographic of Hui Muslim people, and halal food is super common. I've never had lamb before, and trying Muslim food was delicious and great. In this bottom middle photo is a Muslim street where there are a ton of street vendors selling food and desserts. Now, Xi'an has a lot of history, and one place to visit are the old city walls. And these walls go on for miles, and you can see the city pretty well from here, as well as the defensive structures on the wall when they're lit up, such as here and here. And then lastly, we all went to the Terracotta Warriors. Now, fun fact, when we were all here, we ran into an NAU alumni who graduated in 1974. Thought that was quite the coincidence. Now, this is the second time I've been to the Terracotta Warriors, so it wasn't as impressive, but nonetheless, you should go. And there's just a massive amount of these stone soldiers, and it just goes on for quite a while. We also went to the Wild Goose Pagoda. This is a place I went to in the past, but it's changed a lot since I last went because now it is this giant strip full of artists, restaurants, etc. The last place I went to before my winter vacation was Shenzhen, which is the city right above Hong Kong here. I only came here for 2 days for a quick getaway from school and for the need of good Western food. Me and my two closest friends in Shantou took a quick train ride over and just walked around the city. Now, Shenzhen is a good quick getaway because the train ride is only 1 hour from Shantou, and there's plenty of Western amenities in the city. The city is a very modern city with a lot of nightlife, but I came here for Mexican food. But don't get your hopes too high because the food was unique. The quesadilla I had mashed potatoes in it. My winter break started the first week of January. I actually got out of school January 9th and lasted for a little more than a month. The first location I went to was Guangzhou. This is one of the largest cities in China, and I came here for one specific reason, but don't tell my friends that. Again, we just walked around the city and went to a museum that was nearby, and then we also went to the strip by the Canton Tower. Jamie, who I'm traveled with, has friends living in Guangzhou, and they took us to restaurants and a few clubs. But the main reason I came to Guangzhou was amusement park Chimelong Paradise, because they are the proud owner of the 10 inversion roller coaster. This roller coaster has 10 loops, and as an adrenaline fiend, this sounded right up my alley. It was great. It's as great as it sounds, and I highly recommend you go there. The next place I went to is Macau SAR, and Macau is not too far from Guangzhou and Hong Kong. The thing is, Macau is incredibly small. Macau is the special administrative region of China, as it was previously owned by the Portuguese for many years, and there are clear Portuguese elements within the city. Now, Macau is a unique blend with a very Catholic architecture, and since it is a special administration region, gambling and casinos are the city's main attractions. The city was preparing for the Chinese New Year celebration, and many decorations were up for the event. And then here on the right, you can see the ruins of St. Paul. at night, the city lights up and there are plenty of casinos to go to and gamble at. I personally went to the Venetian here on the left. You can't get photos inside the casino, unfortunately, but some advice. Me personally, I got a little too drunk and I accidentally left around 60 US dollars at the ATM, so I recommend you don't do that. So, here are a few photos of me around Macau, and I highly recommend going to the city to see a unique Chinese place. After Macau, I took a flight to Singapore, which is all the way down here. Singapore is a really small country, but there is plenty to do. But be warned, even though I went in mid January, it was still very humid and hot. Now, I came to Singapore to eat delicious food and also because I watched the movie Crazy Rich Asians and I wanted to see the city for myself. Our hotel was around a very popular place, and nearby was a mosque, and the streets had a very active nightlife full of live music and good food. Now, when we were walking around the city, we came across the Chinese temple where you can go inside and there was chanting and praying. And if you go at night, the entire temple lights up. Now, one of the popular attractions are the Merlion statues, which is the national symbol of Singapore. And not too far from the Merlion statues is where Crazy Rich Asians was filmed, which are the Gardens by the Bay and the Marina Bay Sands. The last day we went to Universal Studios Singapore, but I don't recommend doing this. The lines were way too long due to the influx of Chinese tourists for Chinese New Year. Now, the park was great, and they even had a Shrek themed area, which was great. But again, it was hard to do anything as it was so packed. Now, lastly, here are a few random photos of me just having fun in Singapore. The next place I went to was Taiwan. And Taiwan is special to me because I am half Taiwanese and I have family living there. And I came to Taiwan to see my family and also celebrate the Chinese New Year. Now, Tainan is a smaller city where my family actually lives, and while there's stuff to do, I recommend you just go to the larger cities on the island. Now, Tainan has a very nice aesthetic and looks almost Japanese since historically Taiwan was occupied by Japan. Now, here are a few photos of me and my family when they took us out to eat. I really appreciated visiting them. So, if you ever find yourself in Tainan, drop by their coffee shops and say Adam sent you. Well, actually, maybe not because I don't think they know my English name. Now, for the Chinese New Year, my family actually went to Taipei. And not only was it Chinese New Year, but it was also my great aunt's birthday. Now, Taipei is definitely a city you should go to. I don't have many photos because it was a place I've been to before, but the city is great. I actually came to Taipei to get a specific mechanical keyboard because the brand is from Taipei and it's hard to get one back in the States. Now, one place we went to was this old town by the coast, and it was a nice little tourist attraction. We went to a individual hot pot restaurant and just walked around the streets. And then here on the right is a family, or the photo of my family in Taiwan celebrating Chinese New Year and my great aunt's birthday. And then one last place we went to was Taipei 101. Taipei 101 is this tower here, and not only does it have a mall inside, but also all around the tower is like a mall. It's a great place to go and walk around. After Taiwan, I began traveling solo and I came to South Korea. Now, in all honesty, South Korea is a great place to go, but if you're alone and don't speak the language like myself, you might not have a great time. I tried making the best of it by walking around and just enjoying the city. I came to South Korea to look for some streetwear because I really like that fashion. Also, because I don't speak Korean, I couldn't order things from restaurants or read menus, so I ate at McDonald's almost every day. Now, why on earth does McDonald's in Asia taste so much better than the United States? It's actually a shame. Now, I came to Busan because I watched the movie Train to Busan, and me and my dad really enjoyed it, so I felt, why not go? But my last destination was Seoul. And while I was in Seoul, I was fortunate enough to have some Korean friends I made back in Shantou show me around. And I'm really appreciative of their time. But unfortunately, we had to cut it short due to COVID 19, and it was becoming a large issue at this time. Um, I often walked around the city alone, but I am not a good solo traveler. I hope you can do better than what I did because I was honestly lost. But for the few days I was with my friends, they took me to a few meals and showed me to a palace there. And also, quick tidbit, in Korea, their chopsticks are completely flat, and I had the hardest time using them because I'm not used to chopsticks. I'm only used to the ones you get in China. So, for my final piece of advice, make the best of your time abroad and do the things you want to do. My number one item on that list was traveling, and I made sure to do it. I made plenty of mistakes, like booking flights too closely together, not booking enough nights at a hotel, getting lost too easily. But I'm glad I persevered, and I hope you can do the best of your time abroad. Not everyone wants to do the same things, so do what you want to do and don't regret it. I hope you enjoyed my video, and I hope to see you in my Zoom sessions. Thank you, and have a great evening.